Well, what a pleasure it is to be here in the North West Essex constituency, which just, well, some may say by sheer coincidence, but it's not, happens to be the constituency of the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, Kemi Badenoch. And that's why I'm here, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But first, of course, just have a think about this. Something truly extraordinary is happening out there. Something remarkable, something historic, something everybody thought was literally impossible. A new political party that started off 7 months ago with no representation in Parliament whatsoever, that made its first big step on July the 4th last year with 4.1 million votes and 5 seats, and everyone said, well, that's it. They can't possibly go any further. And here we are this week with 7 opinion polls showing that we now are consistently 3 points ahead of the Conservative Party and just a point or 2 behind the Labour Party, and we are achieving something. We are achieving something that is quite remarkable. And we've been riding a bit of a wave. And you know what? If we keep riding that wave a bit more, we really will surprise everybody come that next general election when we win it. Now, it is the 5th anniversary of Brexit, and of course I'm quite used to fighting against the odds. Indeed, for much of my political career and many of those long years that I spent in Brussels and Strasbourg, everybody said to me, you're wasting your time. You'll never get anywhere. Everybody agrees we should be in the European Union, the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Conservatives, the TUC, the CBI, the Bank of England, the BBC. And you're wasting your time. And yet, we built up a movement across this country which forced David Cameron, remember him? I tell you what, the history books won't. And that referendum happened, and I was able to go to the emergency debate in Brussels the day after the referendum. Quite extraordinary. I mean, I got on Eurostar, I got off at the station in Brussels. I mean, everybody hated me. It was quite extraordinary. And I did call it a non-country, you're quite right. And I wasn't wrong. And I so enjoyed going down into that chamber, and there was Jean-Claude Juncker, the President of the European Commission, a man whose drinking habits made me look like a Methodist. I was able to get up and say, when I came here 17.5 years ago, I said that I would lead a campaign that would take Britain out of the European Union. And you all laughed at me, I said. But you're not laughing now. And it's the same this time. Everyone says we can't do this because it's impossible, because it's never been done before. Because how can you go from 5 seats to winning a majority? And my answer to that is very simple. Something remarkable is happening in our country. We have lost faith with our political class. We know whether it's Labour or Conservative, we're pretty much getting about the same. And it will let us down again and again. And I think as far as I'm concerned, people know I've been warning for over 20 years that our immigration policies would not just devalue the quality of life of everybody in this country, and by that I mean housing, GP access, traffic on the roads, but would also lead to huge divisions in our society. I've been consistent and clear, along with my colleagues, that the lunatic net zero policies set up by the Conservative Party, now being followed by that fanatic Ed Miliband, doesn't believe in God, so he has to believe in something, and it seems to be it's climate change. And people know we've been right on issue after issue after issue. And I think also we're beginning to see a wave that is crossing the Atlantic, from the east coast of America, where Donald Trump, standing on a platform, many of whose policies were not dissimilar to what we put to the British people in that contract last July, has won this incredible victory and got off to the most amazing start. And even those people that don't like him say, you know what, he gets things done. And the confidence in us that is growing is people say the kind of folk that are standing and representing reform have actually had jobs. Can you believe it? I mean, very few people in politics have had jobs, including the entire front bench, not one of whom has ever set up or worked in a private business. And people look at us and say, like Trump, these people will get things done. And believe me, we will. This is not just going to be an earthquake in British politics. This is going to be the biggest historical political change this country has ever seen. Now, at this moment 5 years ago, I was getting ready to go to Parliament Square, where Richard Tice and I had organised the big rally, and about 100,000 people turned up. It was an amazing event, and as the clock ticked down to 11 o'clock, I had the honour of counting down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, push. And the joy in the crowd was incredible. We'd achieved something remarkable. It was the greatest constitutional victory against the establishment seen for many centuries in Britain. It was amazing. And yet, where was Boris Johnson? In 10 Downing Street, rather pathetically banging a gong. And do you remember the faces of Michael Gove and Boris Johnson the morning after the referendum? They looked in total shock. They didn't really want to leave the European Union. It was all a game about who leads the Conservative Party. So 5 years on, I'm asked, inevitably, has it been a success? No. Well, look, constitutionally, it is a success. We are out, and we will not be rejoining. That's important. That's fundamentally important. And I think in terms of foreign policy, we stand far taller on the world stage with Brexit than we ever did before. The nuclear submarine deal that we've done with the Americans and Australians wouldn't have happened as EU members. The lead we took over Ukraine, whether you agree with it or not, was not something we could have done under a common European foreign policy. The rollout of the vaccine, whether you're a vaccine fan or not, we were able to do being free of the European Union. And even Keir Starmer the other day had to admit that when it came to tech, AI and Britain's future, we're much freer not being a part of it. So there are successes. However, many, many millions of people voted Brexit because they thought this was the way to take back control of our borders. And what have we had since? 130,000 young men crossing the English Channel in dinghies. Net migration going up in 2023 to 1 million a year. There are so many people out there who feel literally betrayed. But my message to them is this: they weren't betrayed by Brexit. They were betrayed by a Conservative government elected on the back of Brexit with considerable help from myself, who never ever believed in it in the first place, who never really intended to deliver lower numbers coming into our country, and who thought they could get away with it. Well, folks, I'm back, and they won't get away with it. And frankly, they should never be forgiven for what they've done. And equally, millions of people out there working in business, some self-employed, some with their own businesses as directors, others working for companies. I can tell you that in every sector, from financial services through to fisheries, we had a realistic expectation that outside of the European Union, many of those crackpot rules would be removed. There'd be a simplification of the rule book. And actually, in many industries, things are worse than they were at the time. Brexit was the right thing to do. Getting back our sovereignty, control of our nation, of course was the right thing to do. I look at the state Europe's in, and you think things are bad here, you want to cross the channel. And I know we've done the right thing. But to actually deliver what people wanted, we need a political party in government that actually believes in Brexit and will keep the promises that were made to the British people, and that party is Reform UK. Now our membership started really growing in December. A sense of energy, a sense of buzz, and somebody had this brilliant idea. Why didn't we put up a live membership tracker that people could, put on their phones or their computers? And just the act of this getting out seemed to encourage other people to do. They quite like seeing the tick, when they join. I must admit, I've become totally obsessed with the live stream ticker. Often getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's coming, sir. It's coming, sir. Your turn will come to speak in the years to come, I've no doubt. I know leadership bids when I see them, don't worry. So I've become obsessed with this, and we thought, well, actually, why don't we have a big push over Christmas, New Year? Because you know what it's like? Everyone gets together with the anticipation of a great Christmas. The first row happens at about 2 o'clock. Uncle Bill gets drunk for the 35th year in a row. So we did a big membership push over that period, and the numbers just really started to explode. And then on Boxing Day, we went through 131,860. And that number was significant because that's the number of ballot papers the Conservative Party sent out in the last leadership election. So we could say, without doubt, we now were the second biggest party in the country. What a Boxing Day present that was, until about 5 o'clock on Boxing Day evening. The Right Honourable Member for North West Essex decided to comment on the situation, and she was, I have to say, less than flattering. Now, what she had to say, I thought it was quite remarkable, really. She said, "It's not real. It's a fake. Cooked, coded to tick up automatically. This kind of fakery gets found out pretty quickly." Now, I wasn't very happy with this. And so we invited in some journalists from the Financial Times, from Sky News, from organisations not necessarily seen to be our friends, and they had a look at the system that counts our membership. And we use a platform called Nation Builder, which is exactly the same platform that the Conservative Party use. And everybody agreed that the numbers were genuine. So I asked, and look, I've been in this game a long time. I'm big enough and ugly enough to take all the insults you can throw at me. I literally couldn't care less. It's the rough and tumble. There's a few queuing up there now, I can tell, but it's the rough and tumble of the game. But don't call me dishonest, because I'm not dishonest. And nothing actually could damage your reputation more than being seen to be dishonest and being a fraudster. So I asked for an apology, and there didn't come an apology. So I said I would take action, which people thought meant I'd sue. Now, I'm not very keen on suing, although I'm sure there are some lawyers in the room who think it's great, because they make the money and nobody else. But to sue, you have to prove actual harm. And the truth is, the sheer publicity that those tweets had given us probably got us an extra 20,000 members. So suing was not an option. I thought, well, the next best thing was to come and visit and meet my fake members in the North West Essex constituency. Well, I've got to tell you, looking at you, having met a few of you, you don't look very fake to me, you look very real. And I tell you what, the opposition should be bloody scared of you. So we've got county council elections coming up on May the 1st in Essex, or do we? Or do we? What I do want to say, and thank you for coming along on a Friday night in such numbers from this area, but what I do want to say is we do need more men and women to come forward to stand as candidates for local council and for government at whatever level. And after this event there'll be tables outside where you can express an interest, and we will vet you, which we didn't do terribly well last time round. In fact, it was probably quite near a catastrophe, but never mind. It was a brand new organisation. I said I would democratise and professionalise this party, and we are doing it. So please come forward in numbers. We need good folk to stand up to represent their local community. Now, there are 1.1 million voters, eligible voters in Essex, who should be going to the polls on the 1st of May. And yet, the Labour government have decided they're going to completely change the structure of local government. They'll get rid of district councils and county councils, replace them by a series of unitaries. Essex will have between 3 and 5 unitaries, and then a mayor will be over the top of all of it. Now, whether you agree with these changes or not, and I'm sceptical, I've got to tell you, I'm very sceptical. I think that some of the smaller district councils that represent the more rural areas and the small towns will finish up actually being governed by the priority of the bigger cities. So I'm concerned about it. But whether we do it or not, shouldn't we have a debate about it first? Should we have a conversation about it first? And how extraordinary that it's the Conservative-led Essex Council that have asked for these elections to be cancelled for perhaps up to 2 years, when it's going to take at least 3 years for the changes to take place, and the term's only 4 years. There is not a single good excuse for any of the 20 million eligible voters in the English counties, not a single valid excuse for any one of them to be denied their vote on May the 1st this year. Not one. Not one. The rumour is up to 10 million people may be denied the vote. We don't know. The decision will come on Monday or Tuesday. We in Essex and elsewhere are readying ourselves to fight those elections. If they're cancelled here, we'll fight them hard elsewhere. We have a petition up and running saying come and sign it, and within 24 hours 160,000 people have signed it. We'll find out more nearer the time. But honestly, I thought only dictators cancelled elections. And why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Because they're scared out of their lives of what reform is going to do at the ballot box on May the 1st. And so they should be. So we will battle on. We will continue to build our party. And isn't it great? Here in North West Essex, and I checked the numbers just before coming onto the stage, we now in this constituency alone have 490 paid-up members and 460 registered supporters. That in North West Essex alone. And I tell you what, folks, I think we can build on these numbers. I think we can build on the now 190,000 to answer you from earlier. They're now 190,000 that we've got. There is momentum behind this party. There is optimism and energy behind this party. And we know what we stand for. Yeah. Family, community and country. They were the words that came into my mind as I travelled up to London in the car on the 3rd of June last year. As I was about to go on stage and end my happy life, my early semi-retirement, and to throw myself back into the political scene. I thought to myself, why am I doing this? What are the things that matter to me? And I think family, community and country doesn't just sum it up for me, I think it sums it up for virtually all of us in this nation. And we've had enough of weakness, gutlessness. We're sick of the education system poisoning our kids. We are unafraid to stand up. And I hope and believe that many things that will happen in America will serve as an inspiration to us. Woke is dying as we watch it in America, which I think is fantastic. And I really hope that the guy that's been put in charge of cutting the size of the administrative state, amazing chap. Do you see the rocket come down? And it was like Thunderbirds, wasn't it? And he's worth 450 billion or whatever it is. And he and I know each other. Elon and I know each other. Did you know that? Yeah. We've had the odd exchange here and there. It'll be fine. But if Musk is able to cut the size of the administrative state, to cut those terrible burdens put on men and women that want to go out on their own and set up their businesses, that will be an inspiration to us too. We are determined to fundamentally change this country. We are determined to turn around by 180 degrees this acceptance of failure, this cowardice in the face of the Marxist left, this devaluing of our history, of our identity, of our culture, of all that we are. We will never judge people, ever judge anybody by their colour, their religion, their gender, their sexual preference. I'd rather not know. We want to live in a free, meritocratic Britain. And I know that when we get there, we're going to face the most incredible challenges. We'll face the teaching unions, we'll face the civil service. It'll be the biggest battle that's been fought in modern times. But unless we turn this around, all the things we value in this country will be gone. We are living in societal decline. We're living in economic decline. People are getting poorer. The streets are becoming less safe. Our kids are being told to be ashamed of who we are. We have to turn this around. And I believe with this party, right now, with the people we're gaining, with the enthusiasm I see here in the room in northwest Essex, and I'll see it in Durham tomorrow, and wherever I go, we are on the verge of making our own form of history. I believe we can do this. Do you? Yes. Are you with us? Yes. How many non-members in the room? Hands up. Right. Don't let them out the door until they pay. But thank you for being supporters. And I want others of you to dig deep and think hard. Could I stand for the local council? Could I be the kind of person to represent the local community? Are you volunteering?
Yeah, I'm already there.
You're already there? Well, you're no good to me. I need new people. I've got to stand up, guys. Stand up. Very good. There's 3 there standing up. Brilliant. Brilliant. And there'll be more. Thank you. Thank you, because that's what it's about. It's about engagement. It's about getting involved. It's about making commitment. We are the people's army, and we all have to do our bit, whatever that is, whether it's delivering a few leaflets in our streets, whether it's talking to our friends, whether it's going round the pubs. I've been doing it for years. It's not easy. We need to make you fishers of men. We need to make you go out there and spread this message that we are on the verge of something truly astonishing that will improve our country. Thank you very much indeed for coming along and listening. Thank you.